Yeah, I remember this happening back when Captain Marvel came out back in 2019, where they were, or a lot of people were protesting against this movie because, well, Brie Larson made herself very unlikable. And the movie ended up still making $1 billion. Well, yeah. Anyway, welcome back, folks. It's your buddy Orange Hat here to bring you another video. So, Brie Larson's The Marvels predicted to have one of, if not the worst, box office grosses for the MCU ever. This comes from Bounding Into Comics. Shout out to you boys. I will put the source to the article in the description below so you all can read the article for yourself. New opening weekend box office projections have been revealed for Marvel Studios' upcoming The Marvels, which they are labeling as Captain Marvel 2 now because, well, nobody knows who the hell the Marvels are, you know? And it claims the film will make less than box office loser Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and could claim the spot as not just the lowest opening weekend in cinematic or in MCU history, but the lowest grossing MCU film overall. Now again, folks, a lot of people thought this about Captain Marvel because Brie Larson kept on saying a lot of stupid shit here and there and sexist and racist stuff, and yet the movie still made $1 billion. So, Box Office Pro shared their projections for The Marvels, claiming that the film will only gross between 50 and 75 million in its domestic opening weekend. They also predict it will bring 121 to 189 at the domestic box office. Yikes. Folks, for a film to, like this movie to succeed, it needs to hit around 700 million sometimes, just to break even when it's an MCU film. These predictions are far lower than their initial long-range predictions for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania earlier this year. They initially predicted that film would gross between 96 and 131 in its opening weekend domestically, and go on to earn between 249 to 347 million in its entire domestic run. Ant-Man and the Wasp eventually had an opening of 106.1 million and would go on to earn 214 million in domestic box office for the entire theatrical run. Overall, the film grossed $436 million globally, and given that the movie had a $200 million budget, the film lost at least around 22 million, so it was a flop. It's quite likely the Marvels will be an even bigger loser if even the highest projections are true. Forbes reported back in the middle of September that the film's production budget is $274 million. However, the report also notes that the film received a $55 million tax subsidy from the UK, bringing the net cost down to 219.8. However, that was not the final report regarding the Marvels production regarding spending from the United Kingdom's government, and it also does not include post-production costs for the film. Thus, financial analyst Valiant Renegade predicted the production was likely $300 million, if not more. So, yeah, that just simply says that... Sorry, folks. If you use Forbes' $219 million number, the film breaks even at around 439.6, given the studio split returns with theaters when it comes to the box office grosses. Whoops. However, if you use Valiant Renegade's $300 million, the film needs to make around 750 or more, or 100 million or more. Given the low box office predictions from Box Office Pro, it's quite likely that the film will be just another loser at the box office for the Walt Disney Company. Bob Iger Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. Well, some people might ask, well, then why release it at all? Believe it or not, you want to release your movies or even though you know they'll flop, because you will still do an offset. You will be offsetting a bigger loss by getting as much money as you can in the box office. Believe me, Disney's lost over $1 billion already this year in box office losses alone. Just the movies that flopped from Disney that has been released from them and their subsidies, they've lost over $1 billion plus. Like, I think around $1.5 billion by now. So this movie will be giving it another kick in the ass. To add even more perspective to this, a $75 million opening weekend is less than Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and the film with the 6th worst opening in Marvel MCU history. The film had a $75.8 million gross on its opening weekend back in 2021. The movie only best Eternals, Thor, Captain America: The First Avenger, Ant-Man, The Incredible Hulk, and that's without factoring in inflation. If you factor in inflation, the only films it bests is Ant-Man, which would see its opening weekend gross clock in at $74.3 million. The best in the film, or that means if the film comes in any lower than their high-end projection of $75 million opening weekend, the Marvels will indeed claim the worst opening weekend in Marvel Cinematic history. As noted above, without adjusting for inflation, no film has had an opening weekend less than $55 million in the entire history of the MCU. So, looking at Box Office Pro's total domestic projections, if the film comes in at the low end of $121 million, it would be the worst performing MCU film at the domestic box office without even factoring for inflation. The Incredible Hulk currently holds that title with $134.8 million domestic total without factoring for inflation. Even though that movie is actually way better than some of the later Infinity Saga movies like Captain Marvel. I really love The Incredible Hulk, the Ed Norton one, folks. Yes, I do have a bias because I've always loved the Hulk, but that movie, even from an objective standard, was actually better than Captain Marvel. The worst performing film when factoring for inflation is Eternals. The film's $164.8 million gross in 2021 now equates to $187.2 million in 2023. That means on the high end, the Marvels will just barely edge out Eternals. The box office haul is not looking good for the Marvels. What do you make of these predictions? Again, it can easily be said, folks, that people are waking up to the crap content that the MCU has been churning out, or vomiting out in this case, and I really think that maybe this movie might actually do less than its predecessor. However, again, I am not going to discount the possibility that Disney will protect their investments. I mean, they've been trying to do the whole strong women thing for a while. I mean, look at the marketing for Captain Marvel. Hero instead of hero. And they were just continuing to push the whole female empowerment angle where she didn't need no man to help her. When if you actually look at the entirety of the MCU's Infinity Saga, you'll notice that the female co-stars or second leads actually were responsible for a lot of the hero success. I did a video on that a while back. I could do another one about it now that my channel's a lot bigger. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just afraid that Disney is gonna actually try to protect the Marvels. I mean, yes, it doesn't look good box office wise. However, they may still protect it because you never know these people and their dubious actions. They have done a lot of things to protect their investments, and while they may not be buying up theater seats, which was speculated during Captain Marvel, they still overhauled Rotten Tomatoes' entire site just to protect Captain Marvel. They overhauled the entire site because people were saying that they weren't interested in the film. And then they started saying those were bad actors and review bombers when the film hadn't even come out yet. We weren't review bombing the film. We were simply clicking not interested. And the movie's interest level dropped down to like 7%. Yeah. I remember the Rotten Tomatoes controversy. Not to mention them admitting that they have to forcefully give positive reviews in order to keep their early access perks. So anyway, folks, that is going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Stay tuned later tonight for the 3rd chapter of the Book of Wick, where me and my hat crew are going to be discussing John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. So, yeah. Stay tuned for that. That will be 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, folks. This is your buddy Orange Hat. Y'all have a wonderful day, and always remember, stay humble.